How's it going, fellas? I've got something a little different from the usual content. Back in September, I graduated and got my culinary arts diploma and figured I should probably put it to good use. I'm starting off simple with a pretty standard fajita recipe. To begin, I'm cutting one whole Spanish onion in half and just chopping it normally. Right after that, I'm going to use 2 whole red bell peppers and cutting them half as well, removing the stems and seeds and cutting them with the inside of the flesh facing upwards. This makes slicing the peppers a lot easier and a lot safer, since your knife won't slip nearly as easily. Once everything's chopped, I measured the spices. I'm using half a tablespoon of garlic powder, half a tablespoon of cumin, half a tablespoon of chili powder, a teaspoon of oregano, a teaspoon of paprika, from the worst container possible, some pepper, and a lot of salt. Forget to record rubbing in all the spices. Then on the pan, over medium heat, add way too much vegetable oil accidentally. Pretend to fry your hand. Once the pan's hot enough, if you're unsure, you could place a little piece of the chicken on the pan and listen for the sizzle. If it does, then you're good to go and you can just throw it on. It's worth mentioning I'm going with a cast iron pan here to help get those charred marks that you can't get on a regular pan. Also make sure to cook with a neutral flavored oil with a very high smoking temperature. Many oils will start to burn well before your meat is even close to done cooking, which leaves a very bitter taste afterwards. After about 7 minutes, I flipped them and then gave them another 7 minutes. If you want to check if your chicken has reached 165 degrees Fahrenheit without using a thermometer, there's a really cool trick called cutting it open and just looking inside. If it's on the cusp of being finished, then don't worry, the chicken has a bit of carryover cooking, and we're adding it back to the pan later on anyways. Don't cut them too much though, or you'll just drain the chicken breast of the very, very needed juices. Reserve them on a plate for later. See all that disgusting burnt stuff on the very bottom? We definitely don't want that, so we're gonna drown it with the cheapest red wine you could get your hands on to deglaze the pan. This is optional, but that added flavor from the wine really adds to the party, especially with the fond at the bottom. This also helps to keep everything nice and wet for the next step. The peppers will take a lot longer than the onions to cook, so we're gonna add those first. If you're also adding something like mushrooms, I'd throw them in about halfway of the peppers being cooked. Spread the peppers out evenly and unstacked as best you can, and make sure not to stir them too often in the beginning. Too much movement cooks them evenly, but it doesn't get those charred marks like we're trying to get with the chicken. Once they get some good color and start to soften a bit, you could add your mushrooms if you're adding them here, and just keep the peppers moving to help soften them up even more. Once they're about as soft as you like them, throw in the onions, lower the heat to about medium-low. I'm basically caramelizing these onions for later on. If things are drying up, add some more oil. Or even better, some more wine. These little strands mean that the onions have started to break down and are getting near caramelized. While the vegetables are finishing up, we can start slicing up the chicken. Resting the chicken before cutting it helps retain a lot of the moisture, which the breasts don't have a lot of, and it helps them to finish cooking without overcooking. Slice them as big or as small as you want and throw them back in the pan, while making this noise. Let everyone get to know each other for a short bit. Add some lime juice from this funky little bottle, and just admire the smell. Wash your tongs so you can stop stirring with a spatula. Grate all your cheese in one foul swoop. Add your filling. Roll your fajita like an idiot. Just put some sour cream and salsa on the plate and enjoy. And I'm just gonna leave this right here. No, just kidding. I'm gonna eat this while I edit.